Sling it off like, you know, the reality show Backstage Pass with Steve Daffner. We'll have a technology segment where we'll talk about the ribbon microphone and the advent and evolution of microphones throughout history and how important this one is. This is the first microphone with adjustable patterns. That is, the direction in which this mic listens to the sound, hears the sound, is adjustable. And that's achieved by a ribbon that inherently has a front and back direction. When you talk across the ribbon, you're not moving it, so there's no sound. But when you talk into the ribbon, you move the ribbon, and that's what makes the sound. Talk across the ribbon, no movement. So in order to make this an omnidirectional mic that would hear in all directions, there are ports on the dead side of the ribbon, little ports that have tiny tubes, acoustic steel tubes, that actually redirect that air pressure onto the ribbon. And by doing so, any sound coming in the side can be ported through a tube pointed directly at the ribbon through like an air column tube in order to redirect that sound onto the ribbon. Or if you want to eliminate that sound, you can eliminate it as well.
Only in the cross direction.
Not only in the cross direction, you can also extrapolate other patterns from it. Patterns that today we call cardioid pattern. That's the most popular pattern. And the way the cardioid pattern works is the front of the mic is the live end. You talk into the mic, and it rejects the room sound. It would reject you talking or ambient noise because it only picks up from the front direction. So in order to achieve that with this microphone, they actually have the rear sound is canceled out, again, using the same labyrinth of acoustical tubes in there. And we can have some illustrations to show that. It's much easier to see than to describe. We can also take the mic apart. We could listen to the mic while talking into it and adjusting the pattern. There's a screw port there, so we could adjust the pattern while talking into it, and then that would become the sound for the video. And that would be very dramatic to demonstrate this. And these are known for a nice, natural, fat mid-range. They have a gorgeous mid-range without all the tizzly top that became popular later. They don't have subharmonic, rattle the seats. They don't have the highest frequency response ever that your system can produce. But the mid-range is just fat and warm and gorgeous. And horns, especially saxophones, sound great on it. Vocalists can sound really good on it. Johnny Cash, Elvis, obviously famously uses Groucho. It's, you know, iconic in its visual. And that's a little bit about it.
Came out when?
Came out, this basic design came out in 1937. That might have been a predecessor to this with different pattern selections. It also has an adjustment for bass based on proximity. Like the old George Carlin, you know, hey, this is the FM DJ. I went to the Foghat concert last night. With that built-up bass, that comes from talking closely into the mic. This has an adjustment that allows you to dial in natural bass response based on how far away you are from the mic. So that that bottom, you don't get that bass build-up unless you want it. Or you can get the bass build up a little further out. You can adjust the contour of the bottom. There's a separate adjustment that the mic has on the bottom, in addition to the pattern adjustment that we talked about here. So, really versatile.
Why did it fall out of favor?
Kind of fall out of favor because they're not quite as durable as the mics that replaced them in the United States, and they were perceived as being old-timey sounding. And the next generation of mics had a push on the high frequencies, an emphasis on the high frequencies that at that time they thought they needed in order to cut through. And kind of went out of favor because of that, and some of the mating electronics had advanced where a new standard had emerged, and this mic was not completely adherent to that standard. Standard sound guys call 600 ohms, 600 ohm standard. This is more like 150, 200 ohms, therefore it requires more amplification. And of course the RCA amplifiers designed concurrently to this mic had about 100 decibels of gain. And to give you an idea, that amplification from the microphone through that first preamp to get it up to what we call line level is the greatest amplification in a traditional chain. That includes everything from recording, playing, cutting the record, playing the record back at home, amplifying,